Hello, I'm live again. I've got the phone on its side this time just to see if that's any better. Just gonna wait and see if anyone is gonna join me. Hi, how are you? So I've got this little, I feel like I'm just doomed when it comes to microphone, but I've got this little clip-on microphone again today, so I think this one's going to be working a little bit better, and let me know if not, and I'll just kind of take it out. So yeah, we're going to be doing 3 days of live videos. Sorry if I keep looking all over the places because the phone's kind of at a different angle, so I'm finding it kind of still trying to figure out where the camera actually is. So yeah, we'll try it sideways and see if that works. So yeah, we're going to be doing 3 days of live videos, and I'll be giving you a little exercise to work on, and then you'll have a little journaling exercise to do either tonight or in the morning when you wake up. And we have a little affirmation as well that you're going to start practicing with. Over the next few days we'll use a different one each time, and we'll see how you get on with that. Just these little nice little tools and things that I like to use, so I'm going to be sharing that with you. So in these 3 videos I will be discussing the 3 main themes behind the foundation of how I built up my own self-love, and I created my own relationship that was just easy and enjoyable for me. I know it can be quite a challenge at times, but I would like to teach you that it doesn't. Sorry if the signal keeps going. It's been doing that recently, so yeah, we're back live. Woohoo! So yes, and also this is how I overcame all of these kind of insecurities, and I learned how to accept myself and love myself completely. So I'm going to be sharing all of these little this kind of framework that I've been working on for a few months now, just kind of looking back over my journey, how I can share that with everyone. And what we'll be talking about in the next couple of days is how to find self-love regardless of what your relationship status is. So I know that we have a mixture of people who are currently looking for a relationship. We have some people who are in a relationship and they just want to work on themselves. And there are also people who may be carrying some micro traumas from possibly like toxic traits in relationships, whether they're current relationships or past relationships. So we're not going to be going into specifically any kind of one category or the other. This is regardless of your relationship status. And kind of further down the line, I will probably focus more on specific topics. So if you're single, you want to learn how to use these techniques to attract a relationship. If you are already in a relationship, if you want to kind of make that better, if you want to feel more confident and more kind of secure so that you can trust your partner and trust yourself more. And we could also look at professional relationships, so with like your colleagues, with your boss, and with clients. And also like family relationships. They can be there's nothing like family. it can be quite a challenge, so that's a whole topic on its own. But yes, so we're specifically looking at self-love and confidence and how that applies to different relationships. So this is a nice kind of general one to start us off with. And you can let me know as well what your relationship status is, and if there's any kind of particular topic that you'd like to know how to kind of make your relationship a bit stronger or a little bit better, just by kind of increasing your own self-confidence. And that is basically the kind of principles of the law of attraction. Is that the way I use it anyway, is that what we are kind of on the inside, that's what is a reflection on the outside. So the way that other people treat us is actually a kind of mirror image of our own subconscious beliefs. And that's how we kind of fix our relationships through just working on ourselves. And the first aspect, I'm just going to kind of kick off and get into it. We'll see if anyone else wants to join us. But the first aspect in this whole kind of framework is the quality of acceptance. And now I have a background in yoga, and I've built these principles up just with my knowledge and my experience of yogic philosophy, energy anatomy, and other kind of mind-body systems, and also, like we said, the law of attraction. So yeah, we'll be using all these kind of elements, and that's the kind of framework. So we've got basically three kind of main components, and this is the first one today, which is acceptance. Hey Namanji, good to see you. So we're talking about acceptance. So there's obviously an absolute abundance of information about all of these topics. And even the kind of yogic philosophy itself, that's, you could go on for the rest of your life, kind of learning new things about that. But I am specifically looking at all the kind of energy anatomy, the mind-body connection, and the law of attraction in terms of how it affects our relationships and how our own relationship with ourselves is basically the kind of fundamental premise of what relationships with other people will be. So with acceptance, we basically have in the kind of energy anatomy, we have like chakras. So I'm looking at 5 of them, and they pertain to basically the emotions and where we feel emotions in the body. And also each of these 5 chakras have an element that relates to each one, and also that kind of element takes on the qualities of whatever feeling, whatever kind of emotion that we have that relates to the thoughts and our kind of past experiences, and that is how it kind of manifests either in our physical body or in our outer world, like our situations and our relationships as well. So firstly, acceptance. We look at the qualities of earth and water. We're looking at our kind of thoughts and feelings and how they affect us and how they basically shape our whole world. And emotions are kind of stored in the body as well. And this is a concept that you can see, like lots of kind of psychologists and medical doctors will talk about this principle as well, about it's not semantics, is it? No, it's somatism. So that's when a belief or a negative experience takes hold and causes a physical response or like a physical illness. So you can look at the likes of anxiety and how that's just basically an emotion or a thought that's repeating over and over, which causes all these kind of physical symptoms in the body. So how do we find the quality of acceptance and not allow our thoughts and feelings from affecting us? That is the exercise that I'm going to be going over with you now. So it's what we call the letting go technique. I'm going to come down into, I've got my little instructions here. I'm just going to guide you through this technique here. It's from, it was described by a man called Dr. David R. Hawkins. He's a clinical psychologist and a doctor of psychiatry. Or he was rather. He wrote a few books on the psychology of our emotions, and he related it to more like a kind of philosophical and an energetic perspective on the whole kind of psychiatric, somatic symptoms of thoughts and feelings and how they affect us. He wrote a few books on the on this kind of premise that the emotions have their own energy, and that energy is then stored in the body if we don't kind of process the feelings properly in a healthy way, and it kind of stays with us. It stays with us in our physical body and also in our kind of energy field. So he taught a few different founding principles, and you may have heard of the scale of consciousness before. That is the belief that each emotion has a vibration, coming from the law of attraction, where every kind of living thing or everything, whether it's alive or whether it's not, it has a kind of vibration. So it's got like a vibratory field, and it either vibrates really, really fast, which causes it to be a more kind of like higher and pure. You talk about being like high vibe. So that's when the emotions are of love and all these really nice positive emotions are vibing really high and really fast, and that's when you feel nice and light and flowing. And the lower emotions, that is when it's a really like a slow and a low vibration. So also in terms of the element of earth, hey Bryony, as I said, we've got the elements of water and earth in the principle of acceptance. So in terms of earth energy, what we're looking for is basically structure, security, stability. We're thinking of the roots of a tree going all the way down into the earth. And something that this man said in one of his books, I can't remember which one, I've read them all, something that he said about emotions is that love and hate are not opposite. When you look at the scale of consciousness, hatred isn't really kind of on there, it doesn't feature too much. The opposite feeling of love is that of fear. And fear is the physical manifestation of not feeling secure and not feeling grounded, and that is where the earth element comes in. So if we have a nice, strong, secure earth element, then we will feel a lot more grounded and a lot more stable, and that is when we can then rise up out of fear and all these other kinds of negative emotions, and that's where we find our stability So basically, one thing, one kind of founding principle of anything that you will do around the kind of confidence and self-love is that it's also a good little affirmation if you feel anxiety at all, whether if it's an ongoing thing or if you're just in a situation that makes you feel very anxious and panicky, nervous, anything like that. The kind of foundation, kind of core principle that you should remember is that no matter what happens, you will be okay. And if you believe that, then you can use that as your foundation and everything else is going to grow up on top of that. So that was a nice little affirmation that I found several years ago. And at the bottom of everything, whether you've got confidence issues in one area of your life or the other, or maybe it's just a little spell you're going through, maybe you're having a spell of anxiety or depression, which is quite normal as well. These things can come and go. The foundation, in order for you to get out of that, is to not only say this affirmation to yourself, but also believe it. And it's one thing to say things and understand them on a conscious level, and then to really feel that on like an emotional level as well. So it's one thing being able to hear it and say it and believe it with your head and with your mind, and it's different to really saying it and feeling it from your heart. And that is something that I will talk about more tomorrow, is how to line up the head and the heart basically, and get everything working in sync so that you can go towards your goals. But essentially we just want to really hammer this phrase home: no matter what happens, I will be okay. And it's a kind of fundamental truth that you'll start to believe, and it will cause your kind of earth element to feel really nice and secure, so that your confidence will be unshakable. So yes, that's what he said. Love and hate are not opposites, it's love and fear. You, as a human being, all of your decisions are made either from a place of love or a place of fear. So let's work on that fear and get the earth element nice and strong. So you can send me a wee comment if you've got any questions, or if you have any wee insights, if you're finding this helpful. I'm just going to take a wee drink of my tea. There's a little bit of a lag, so I'll just give you a wee minute or so to catch up, and let me know if you're enjoying it, or if you want any more clarification on anything, if you've got any questions. I'm drinking lemon and ginger, it's delicious. Very nice. Especially in this climate. We've had springtime for the past few days, but it's still freezing, unfortunately, here in Scotland. It's been nice and bright and sunny, but the temperature's still winter for some crazy reason. And Namonji says, that's very useful information. Periodic anxiety attacks, telling yourself in the moment that it'll be okay. Taking control. Yes, So you will then find this technique will complement that. And that's the kind of underlying affirmation, is that everything will be okay no matter what happens. You'll still be you, and nothing's going to change that. Nothing's really going to be that bad at the end of it. And then you start to feel everything starting to unravel, and then you come back to your base feelings of security. And then this little technique that I'll be going over with you in a second, you can then start to apply that whenever you feel this anxiety as well. So it's really useful and it's really powerful. And I've been using it for about 3 years or so now, but still there are moments. It pretty much comes naturally for me. So whenever I feel a strong emotion coming up, I can apply this technique, which is called the letting go technique. I can apply that almost naturally, and it just kind of takes me back to being conscious and in control of the situation. And even now, although I can use it naturally, as second nature as it were, there are still times when I get such amazing relief from it, and I think, wow, this is something else, although I'm kind of used to it and used to kind of going through it just on a daily basis. Sometimes when a really strong emotion hits me, it just absolutely amazes me and blows me away how easy it is just to let go of it. So, our earth element is our security. So, the water element is then basically our emotions are the manifestation of the water element. So hopefully right now you don't feel any negative emotions. There might be some lingering, but you won't feel anything so strongly right now. So I will ask you to find a memory of something that's happened fairly recently, maybe in the past week, or if you want to make it quite a strong emotion, you get the kind of better benefit from it when it's a really strong emotion, just for the first time, and then you know when it's working, kind of thing. So if you want to go back maybe a couple of weeks or even up to a month or so, that's fine. You can think of a situation that caused you to feel a negative emotion strongly. It can be anger, grief, it can be shame, sadness, fear, anything that isn't very nice that you don't like experiencing. And we'll use this to apply the letting go technique. So this is very similar to how the law of attraction works, so it's nice to have a working example. I'll just give you a wee moment to catch up and start to get back into that zone of having this strong emotion, and you can start to just bring back all the details of how you felt in that situation, and you can even start to relive it through the memories. So I'm going to start with just a few moments of bringing awareness into our breath and into our body, just to settle down, quiet the mind, so we can do this next, the next few steps. So I'll ask you to close your eyes. And just let the weight settle down in your hips. And try and keep your spine straight if you can, so sitting up, you don't have to cross your legs or anything. Just make sure that you can feel nice and secure through the lower half of your body. And bringing your awareness into your breath. And just notice all the little subtle movements that your body makes as you breathe. And start to deepen your breath. Really connect with Each breath in and each breath out. And feel the air moving your stomach and your chest, breathing in and down into your belly, and breathing out to completely empty your lungs. And now, when you're ready, start to bring back that memory of feeling a strong negative emotion. So bringing back the memory now, and just find the main feeling that you had. Just detach yourself from the situation entirely. Don't get caught up in the thoughts of who said what and who was right, who was wrong. Just bring back the emotion. How did you feel? And now, following your breath, stay with your breath coming down into the belly. And as you breathe, start to notice in your physical body where you can feel that emotion. And maybe if you felt fear, you can feel your hands shake. You can maybe feel your stomach. If it's anger that you felt, maybe you can feel your jaw clenching or your fists get tight. If it was sadness, perhaps you can feel your chest. But just really acquaint yourself with the physical sensations. Anywhere in your body. And now that you've got accustomed to where the emotion is in your body, just allow that feeling to be there. Allow yourself to experience it without feeling any shame or any guilt or discomfort at this emotion being here. There's nothing that you have to do to change that. Just allow this emotion to be here. You don't have to attach any meaning to it. Notice any resistance you have around allowing that emotion to be here in your body now. Just welcome it in and let it stay. Removing the need to control or resist the feeling. And maybe you've already experienced quite a deep sense of relief from just allowing this feeling to be there. And this is the power of letting go. But we're going to go even deeper now. So coming back to where you felt this emotion in your body, we're going to breathe into it, and when we breathe in, we're going to send the air into that place in your body. So just as you breathe in, imagine the air going down. So we'll use the example of maybe being angry and the fists or the jaw clenching up. So as you breathe in, just send the air there, breathing in nice and deep. Sending the air down and hold it. Hold your breath in just for one more second. Keep it in that part of your body and sigh it out through your mouth. Let it go. Just take a couple of normal breaths now. And notice if there's any relief that you start to feel. I'm going to do that another 2 times. So again, feeling locating where the emotion is in your body, how it manifests, taking a deep breath in through your nose, send the air down into that body part and hold, squeeze it in, and let it go. Sigh it out completely. And take a few breaths now again, just normal, easy breaths. I'll get ready to do that just one last time. So breathing in nice and deep, sending the air down into this physical emotion. Hold the air in, keep squeezing the air in just for one more second, and take a deep breath out, let it go. Sigh out all the air. Just let any emotion that is in that part of your body come up with your breath out, and just let it go. Just allow it to leave. It's done what it needed to do. Start to feel all your emotions unraveling. The discomfort of having negative emotion, the shame and guilt that you have associated with having this negative emotion as well, with having that unfair standard on yourself that you shouldn't be feeling negative emotion. Just feel it all unraveling. One negative feeling at a time, just leaving. And you're just feeling all these emotions start to dissipate and leave your energetic fields. Just now draw your awareness into a feeling of lightness and ease that you have in your body. And just really notice how you feel. Again, without having any thoughts or feelings towards any changes that you experience, just allowing them to be there. No judgment. Just be light and easy. Just enjoying this experience of relief that you have right now. Maybe you can feel a smile on your face. Maybe you can feel your breathing is a little bit easier. Your body feels lighter and more free. And know that this feeling is available to you whenever you want. You can apply this technique and just let go of anything that comes up. Just now opening your eyes again. And I would love to hear how you got on with that, how you feel now. If it's helped to ease that memory that you had, and if it's taken away the emotions completely. If it hasn't, don't worry about that. You can practice it again anytime. You can do this all day long if you want. And it's really good to kind of get into just doing this consistently, and then it will become second nature to you. Hey Kathy. Bryony, the book was called Letting Go by, it's a kind of amalgamation between 2 books. It's the same author, Dr. David R. Hawkins, and it's letting go and power versus force. So power versus force is basically the kind of theory side of it, and it talks about the scale of consciousness. And the book Letting Go, that's where it's more like kind of practical examples of each and every emotion that is from the scale of consciousness featured in Power versus Force. So that's the first book. It also has another book, but I kind of tend to focus on these two books. They're very deep, so just to warn you before you think it's going to be a nice entertaining read, it's very deep and it's very intellectual. It's all kind of psychological language. They also have audiobooks of them on Audible, so you can check them out, and there's lots of like summaries that people have done on YouTube, basically explaining the gist of the book, because it is quite heavy reading. So yeah, you can check out some of those before you can invest in the book, but I would definitely invest in at least looking up something to do with this, because it's really, really insightful, and it basically just gives you some great tools for letting go and for raising your vibration. So yeah, but I basically teach everything that that this guy talks about, and I've taught myself all these kind of techniques as well, so yeah. Okay, so how was that for everyone? You can watch this again later on. You can watch it maybe once or twice a week. You can come back and remind yourself of the steps just until it starts to become a habit for you. And yeah, we'll see how you get on with that. It's very powerful, but it's as simple as anything needs to be, but it's definitely not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's just remembering that you've got this tool, and it's easy to overlook things that are this simple, but you basically just need to practice this consistently, and then you will stop your thoughts and feelings from defining you, and you'll be more in control. So, what will you learn from this experience of kind of using this letting go technique? What you learn is that your mind is just a simulator. Essentially, you went into a kind of meditative state there, or like a really calm and contemplative state, and you went back to a memory, and then you brought those feelings back into your body. So I bet if you went right into it and brought up kind of these really strong emotions that you had at the time, it would have been very similar to being in that situation. Like your body would have responded in the same way as had you just been in that situation right now, even though it was only a memory. So that's a big kind of lesson from this exercise, is the fact that your mind is just a simulator. So if you can create negative emotions in your body as easily as just thinking of a memory and focusing on it, what do you think you can do on the opposite side of that? You can let go of the bad feelings and just choose to find a better feeling. This is so empowering, and it's something that once you practice this a few times, something that you won't only kind of know at face value, because I think we all know intellectually anyway that it's really easy to just switch a feeling off. It doesn't define you, but feeling that and experiencing that is completely different. So hopefully with practicing this, you will learn, and it will kind of connect more with your heart and your kind of understanding, rather than just on an intellectual level. you'll know down in your heart that you're in control of all your feelings and you can choose exactly how to feel at any given moment. So what else would you learn from this exercise? You would learn that, as we said before, the emotions are just a manifestation of the water energy, and water is designed to flow. And when water doesn't flow, if you imagine a river and maybe there's like some, down at the side at the banking, there's maybe some like tree roots or something that causes an obstruction for the water to flow through, and it creates this little pool of stagnant water that isn't flowing. And when you think of the quality of that water, it's really muddy and thick. It's just like slimy, and I was going to say there's no life that grows there, but yeah, pond life kind of thrives everywhere, but that's not the kind of same energy that I'm thinking of. But it's just not pleasant. It's not a pleasant environment. It's all thick and slimy. It's compared to the water that's clear, crystal clear, flowing through the river. This little kind of stagnant pool isn't where you want to be. And that's what happens with your emotions as well. So when the water of a river becomes stagnant, it also becomes toxic, and that's what happens when we don't kind of process our emotions. The emotions are designed to be processed through your body and through your mind and then just flow past. They are not designed to be held on to, and that is when problems start to arise, is when we don't kind of process the feelings as they come to us. And it can be quite I think if you don't know what you're doing, it can be quite daunting to, if you're in public, have to deal with a strong emotion and let it go. But if you practice this technique, no one will even know that you're doing it. So that's how you're supposed to kind of deal and process with your emotions, just constantly as they come. And it is something similar to kind of what we're talking about with the flowing river and the little stagnant pool. So yeah, it really is as simple as letting go. Is the power of letting go the same or similar to positive reframing? It's similar, yes, but it's not the same because you're not reframing a negative belief as such. You're just allowing the negativity to be there and find the distance between the negative emotion and between who you are, and kind of accept that it doesn't define you. So yes, we're kind of preferring the positive over the negative, but it's more a case of not trying to shut off the negative. It's to accept that it's there and to decide to move past it. So the choice is kind of reframing, but we need to also process the negative emotion before we reframe it. And sometimes you might find as well, if you use kind of positive affirmations and reframing negative beliefs, if you use that process, it sometimes it doesn't always work, because you haven't actually processed the negative feeling first. And that's where the kind of letting go technique comes in. So you can use them side by side, but making sure that you do allow all the kind of negativity to be there and you don't judge yourself for feeling negatively. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up, this little technique. And we're kind of talking about the manifestations of earth and water, and that is how we accept the situation, we accept our past as well, and we can be in control of our thoughts and feelings. And I think something to point out as well is when we talk about being in control, and this is mentioned in the book Power versus Force. Power is when you see the big tsunami wave. Maybe you're standing on the beach or something, and this is a good kind of analogy for it, and your feet are strongly planted in the ground or in the sand, so that's your earth element, and you see this big water, this big wave coming up and over, and this is like obviously your emotions. It's a little kind of analogy. So it's coming up and up and up, and you just see it mounting up higher and higher and higher, and it's leaning over you, and it's going to take you out basically, and it's just this big huge physical force. But if you just be nice and passive, just allow it to wash over you, and know that no matter what happens, you will be okay. What happens? You get wet. The water just goes and it disappears. So that's what we're doing with the feelings as well, with the emotions. That's what the letting go technique is. So in Power versus Force, maybe someone starts trying to like fight the wave, and and it's useless because that's force. But what we want is true power, so that we can be passive enough, or we can be strong enough to be passive and to just let it happen and just know that you'll be okay. So I'm going to share with you a little exercise that I would like you to do tonight or in the morning. It's always nice to either meditate or journal just before you go to sleep, and also just as you're waking up in the morning. So the journal prompt that I would like you to answer, what I usually like to do is I will write out in one colour of pen up at the top of the page the question that you're going to answer, and you're going to just let yourself free write and just let everything come up, and doesn't matter if it makes sense or not, just allow it to flow down onto the page. Set a timer on your phone or on your watch for 10 minutes so that you kind of don't have to think and keep going back over and reading it and everything. Write out the question in one colour pen up at the top, set a timer for 10 minutes on your phone, and 10 minutes is the optimal time to just kind of allow these deeper feelings to come up, so please no less than 10 minutes. And then in a different colour of pen, you're just going to start answering that question, and you're just going to let things, without reading back over it or without thinking too hard about the answer, you're just going to write maybe a page, 2 pages, 5 pages if you like, but for at least 10 minutes you're just going to write about how you feel the answers coming up for you for this question. So make sure you can either, I'll post this in the group as well afterwards just so you've got it there, but if you've got a little notebook and a pen there, write down this journal prompt that I would like you to answer either tonight or tomorrow, and then we'll check in with that tomorrow and see how you got on. What do I need to let go of in order to accept and move on from the past? So I think I'll actually take the move on from out of it. So what do I need to let go in order to accept the past? You're going to write this out in your journal, and you're going to give yourself 10 minutes just to answer that question, and you're just going to let it all flow down onto the page, and hopefully you'll find some useful answers that come out of this, some subconscious beliefs that you didn't know you had that might be holding you back, but it's really good to just kind of get that journaling practice started off. And there's an affirmation that you can also repeat to yourself, And I love affirmations because this is actually where I started with doing the whole kind of like personal development. This is where I started finding my results. Was I did like a 30-day affirmation challenge where you just say a general affirmation for like one per each day for the 30 days. And I found that as I was saying the statements, it got to about maybe halfway through the day, and I stopped just saying statements, and then my brain was wired to start looking for reasons that these statements were true. And that is basically what affirmations are and why they're magic, is because you just kind of tune into a different kind of frequency, as it were, like a different reality. So there's nothing that's just this is how it is. It's more just everything exists. Things are things, and it's your perspective of the things that makes the difference in your experience. So by saying the affirmations, your brain's then looking for evidence that this affirmation is true. And if you say nice things, you're going to see nice things, basically. So I will get you to just repeat this affirmation whenever you remember over the next 24 hours or 23 hours. And the affirmation goes like, I let go of fear and guilt to make room for love. I let go of fear and guilt to make room for love. So you just keep repeating this affirmation to yourself whenever you remember. You know, if you're absent-mindedly going about your day, just repeat this affirmation and see what change that brings to how you feel in the next 24 hours or so. Alright, so happy to share all this with you, and I can't wait to see what your experiences are. I'm going to post your journal prompt and your affirmation just now so that you have a kind of written copy of it. And I cannot wait to speak to you all tomorrow. So yeah, enjoy, have a good evening or a good rest of your day. If you're earlier, it's about 6 o'clock for me now, so I'm just getting wound down, getting ready for dinner. So yeah, so it's been lovely as always, and I will see you all tomorrow. Namaste.